Welcome back to Industrial Hardware and Specialties online tutorials. We offer you technical information in the spirit of educating our customer, but we are not engineers and always recommend that an engineer review any suggestion that we offer or may be implied through the information that we disseminate. We will always recommend safety as our first concern. With that being said, please enjoy the following informative lesson. Common errors regarding anchor bolt specifications. It is very common for a customer to contact us requesting an anchor bolt compliant to ASTM A325. There are two reasons that this usually occurs. The first, an engineering drawing that cites a requirement, or the second, the customer assumes that the structural applications always require structural grade anchor bolts. Let's address these two issues in sequence. There are a multitude of specifications that we must address in the construction industry. Some of these specifications have very similar mechanical properties, but differ in testing requirements. An anchor bolt can be specified to be compliant to ASTM A449, ASTM F1554, ASTM A354BC or BD, but never to be compliant to ASTM A325, except under one very specific condition. The bolt must be headed, threaded, and tested in compliance with the specification, then inverted into a hole that is backfilled to secure the bolt in place as an anchor. If there is any proposed fabrication of the bolt that is contrary to the specification, it cannot be certified as an A325. Bending the end of the rod is not considered the formation of the head. The A325 specification is very clear and precise about its requirements. The most common alternate specification for A325 is ASTM A449 at the sacrifice of certain testing requirements. If a drawing specifies A325, we recommend that you request for clarification to an engineer so that they can make the decision for an appropriate replacement. Frequently, we are called by customers that wish to purchase A325 anchor bolt. They have drawings that do not specify an anchor bolt grade, but do call out the structural connections to be bolted with bolts in compliance to ASTM A325. Consequently, they assume that all bolting, including anchor bolts, must be A325. This assumption is not only erroneous, but inconsistent with the requirements of the typical anchor bolt. The vast majority of anchor bolts are made from A36 steel, which is a 36 KSI yield steel, whereas an A325 has a minimum yield of 92 KSI, or about 2.5 times greater. Why this discrepancy? It is easily answered if you consider that an anchor bolt is used to keep the column rigid and plumb. Once the beams are bolted in place and the structure is rigid, there is little functionality of the anchor bolt. The building will not walk. But anchor bolts are not always used for buildings. They may be used structures that rely exclusively on the strength of the anchor bolt to remain intact, such as jib cranes or signage, which may be subject to severe loading due to winds. Such a load, where there is lever effect acting on the anchor bolt, is called a moment. Remember this too. Many anchor bolts are made with rolled threads as opposed to cut threads, which can affect anchor bolt performance. Industrial Hardware and Specialties always recommend an engineering review and sign off prior to purchase or installation of any anchor bolts, regardless of the application. See our tech tip number 4 regarding the difference between rolled threads and cut thread bolts. We thank you for joining us for this tech tip. Be sure to register on our site to receive updates when new tech tips are posted.